Good morning, good evening or good afternoon, depending when you have the time to tune in and listen to our Movember rambles, bringing awareness to men's physical and mental health. Here we are, 23rd of November already, a week off of December, and we are still managing to get together in the Clyde, and I'm just acclimatising to the cold. Haven't quite woke up yet. So, this morning I had a bit of a lesson. Good morning, Mr. Kelly, I hope you're well. So, this is less about perhaps men's mental health, or indeed, good morning, Sarah Duncan, Spud. This is probably less about men's mental health, or indeed men's physical health, but an awareness I had at the weekend, which I would like to share with you. Now, I've questioned it on the way down the road. Was it COVID? Was it political correctness? Was it gender equality? And this is what happened at the weekend. Let me share a story with you. So, we were 3,100 feet up at the top of a Munro, and I was hiking with a friend of mine, Nick, and we met up with 3 other women that were hiking, okay? Now, one of the women went through like a snow drift, which was covering up probably like a bog stroke river, and the woman went right up to almost her waist in what would be cold water and was pretty stuck. And I immediately ran over to the situation, and my survival mechanism kicked in, whatever survival instinct kicked in to protect, to give her a hand. And as I was rushing towards her, I stopped and I stood there looking at her, and I said to her, I gave the responsibility over to her rather than me making the decision. What can I do for you? What can I do to help? How can I assist? Right? And she went, get me out. I went, right, okay. And then I went to touch her. I went over to extend an arm to get myself over to assist her to get out. And I stopped and went, is it okay if I touch you? Is that all right? And she went, yes. And I got my hands on her and I lifted her out of the snow. I helped her get out the snow, right? And then we went wandering on, and the woman's like, oh great, I've got to do the rest of the walk with wet feet, etc. And I'm wandering along, and I was thinking about the time, the valuable time, the precious time that was wasted by attempting to be politically correct, attempting to work within the parameters of the rules of COVID with no touch, to not disempower the other individual. Oh wow, look at that. Comrade. Is it? Oh, missed it. So, it was about 30 seconds, right? And then about 30 seconds of time by me kind of dancing around at the side, saying things like, what would you like me to do for you? How can I assist you? Can I offer some help? Would that be acceptable? Yes, that's acceptable, right? That's that ticked off the list. Next, is it okay if I touch you? Do you mind if I put my arms around you to get some leverage to lift you out of this situation? Yes, that's okay. So anyway, we get out, we get that done. Repeat myself because I'm freezing. But we get that done and we go along with our hike. And about 5-10 minutes later or something like that, I shared with the woman what was actually going through my head. I was like that, you know, I kind of kept you in that water longer than what was necessary because my mind was so preoccupied with, in inverted commas, doing the right thing. And she turned around and said, I know, I was looking at you as you were asking me, and all I was thinking was, get me out of here, right? And we had a bit of a laugh about it, and we had a bit of a giggle about it, but these restrictions that through gender equality, through doing the right thing, through political correctness, through COVID-19, it brings up such questions around about how we're going against our natural instinct to help another person, to reach out and help another person. Anyway, I was sharing that with a friend when I got back last night. I was sharing what had happened, and thank you, Francis. Yes, shocking the drivel you need to work through before you can make a genuine offer of helping another person. Yeah, it was really interesting to say the least, thinking about that when we're in like we were in a critical situation. It wasn't like, what would you like me to do? Would you like me to assist you? What can I do for you? Like, giving the power back to that person instead of me owning the power, me having the power to make that decision to help another person, questioning that I would be disempowering the feminine, disempowering another individual by not allowing them to make that decision for themselves, and then having to ask if it was all right to put my hands on them, if it was all right to touch them, to leverage them out of a river that they were stuck in up to their waist. You know, it really, really is quite a thought of where we've got to societally, and our natural desire, want to just help that other person. So then I came down the road and I was speaking to a friend about it, and telling them what had happened, and they said, you know, I was in the supermarket the other day there, and you could see that a child was playing, running up and down the aisle, and you could see mum wasn't that far away, but the child fell and slipped, and I naturally just wanted, like, my instinct was to go down. Morning, Christine. My instinct was to go down and help the child. So I was halfway towards doing it and stopped myself, because you're not allowed to help a kid. You know, really, when we look back, I mean, I remember being a wee tiny guy, small guy, and I lived in Braidwood, and I was walking from Lower Braidwood up to Higher Braidwood where I lived, right? And it was absolutely teeming down with rain, right? Colossal, soaked to the skin. And this guy just drove up, opened the door, and he was like, you Big John's boy? I was like that, aye. Never questioned it, jumped in the motor with him, and the guy gave me a run up the road. We've lost the ability to do that, and I've seen myself driving past folks' wains that I know, and they're getting soaked going up the road, and I want to stop and say, jump in, but am I insured? Am I insured to have this person in my car? What would somebody think? What are people going to think? Are they going to be all right with me and getting that way and a run up the road? So these have just been some thoughts, got very, very little to do with men's mental health. But I'm just questioning, have all these restrictions that we've placed upon ourselves in society through not doing what our heart and what our instinct is to just help our fellow human being, but we question it. So although this has got nothing to do with men's mental health, I don't think, the questions that I'm just putting out there, I don't have the answer, is, are these restrictions that are placed upon us now maybe having a hindrance to our mental and emotional well-being? So Monday the 23rd of November, we are rocking through 7 days or so off of December, and I'm doing a wee message through November for men's mental health and physical health. So have a fantastic day from the River Clyde in Lanark. Over and out.